You're listening to Zack, founder of WorkingJoesRoundtable.com, and this is the Working Joes Podcast. Alright guys, well I've been using a lot of different gauges here lately. I've been using gauges from Field Piece. I just got in some gauges from Sportland I haven't had a chance to try yet. It's the Type R Smart Probe. Well, I don't know if we call them Smart Probes or Smart Tool. But we all know what we're talking about. A Sportland Smart Tool Type R with the long range. I have a S-Man 460 that's part of the Job Link. But right now on my truck, I can say that there aren't any manifolds at all. The only thing I have to test pressure is a set of Z manifold gauges, single test gauges, and a set of Z Connects, or the newly renamed Z Connect or C Connect, which is the Cowboy Connect. All those are the Robinair gauge heads, the digital gauge heads with the stubs. I'm certainly glad that I saw the NorCal video where he was using that thing, because at that moment I fell in love. If you can picture it, picture myself, 6'3", 227 pounds, thank you diet, running across a meadow to go into the warm embrace of a Robinair digital gauge head. That's how I felt. I fell in love right there, so I bought those suckers. So the question is, what am I using right now? If I have a job tomorrow, which I do, what am I going to be using to test pressure? And the answer is I'll be using the C Connect, Z Connect, whatever you want to call it, the Robinairs, with my regular dual port K-type thermometer from Hillmore. I won't be using the Job Link. I may use Field Piece Wireless on the air side, but it won't be the Job Link stuff. It'll be, it won't be the SDP2. It'll be those wireless transmitters with the single induct psychrometer head and just a regular psychrometer head that doesn't have the duct probe. I use those more often because when I combine it with my Z Connect tools and the Hillmore, I get a perfect setup for me. Well, it's almost perfect. The Field Piece probes they have coming out in June that are Bluetooth. They have this one-way long-range Bluetooth deal going on that's supposed to go 200 feet. I'm hoping those are perfect. I'm hoping that once I get those, I can use not the pressure probes, but the air probes. I think the air probes will be perfect. I can transmit those to my phone, and I can read everything else right there at the unit. Because what I've found as time goes by, I don't really need anything special at the unit as far as Bluetooth. Because just think about it. You have your testo probes, right? They go like 10 or 20 feet. So it's not like you're getting really far away. So you might as well just use something you have to read right there on the site. It makes sense to me. You could even use, if you wanted to use a manifold, that's fine. You could use like the Testo 550, Testo 557, the S-Man, anything you wanted to. I mean, if you use the S-Man, one of the Job Link ones, it'll integrate into the app. But I'm not really looking at a screen for my refrigerant pressures. Because typically I'll fire things up, I'll let it run for a little while, then I'll put my induct stuff, as far as the supply and return temperature and humidity, I'll put those in because it has to settle out for a while anyway, so there's no point in rushing to put those in right away. I think that's a perfect setup for me. It's really easy to use, and for service, I mean, not every service call all that stuff has to come out. And we'd love to think that on every service call we're doing all these measurements. I just saw something on Facebook where it has a checklist for the iManifold. And that's like the perfect image of a service call to a lot of people. You have this long checklist. It's like, checked it. Got my blower amps. It was just a capacitor, but I got my blower amps. I don't really believe in that whole thing. I believe in just doing what you need to do, being very concise with your service calls, because when you have like 10 of them in one day, you're not really going to be checking all the boxes, if you know what I mean. If you spend all your time checking all the boxes, your company's going to do like 2 service calls a day. Now, I know that's probably not true. You can probably do more than that. But all I'm saying is it's unneeded. It's unnecessary. I think a good technician is one that can figure out what he needs to do, not a step more or a step less, just exactly what he needs to complete a service call and do a good job. If you have a busted run capacitor, you're probably not going to have an issue with the air side of the system. Now, if you want to take a quick look, that's a good thing. I mean, you can put, like my DTH35 from UEI. I can just stick that in the supply, stick it in the return for a few seconds, just to make sure we don't have like a heat strip running or something like that, or just some kind of weird 3-degree temperature split or like a 30-degree temperature split, just to confirm there's no other issues there. Because if the initial problem isn't air related, then you would assume that the air is okay, or at least as okay as it ever was. Because on a lot of these things, you go up there and say, well, we got a temperature split of 22. Should be 16. That's way too high. Got ductwork issues. 3-ton system. They ran 12-inch flex to it for the return. I'm going to tell these people they need to change their return. I'm going to go up to this lady. I'm going to say, we need to change this return. She's going to look at me and say, did the return break that capacitor? And I'm going to go, well, no. And she's going to go, well, it was working fine before. And I'm like, well, it really needs to be changed for a better efficiency. She's going to look at me and goes, this thing's 17 years old. It's been doing fine for 17 years. You get a whole lot of that. And sometimes you're able to convince people that the change that you're suggesting is worthwhile. But a lot of times, if the track record is it's been fine for 17 years, they're probably going to argue with you until you just don't want to argue anymore. You just change your capacitor and say, see you next time. And maybe their compressor grounds the next day. It's called karma. But you can never tell. You do the best you can. All I'm saying is that you can't be a superhero on every service call. Even though you want to, you got all these great tools, you want to use them to their full potential. It doesn't really translate into a real world environment, because the real world is full of homeowners that are human beings that are not worried about how well you're doing the job. Think of when you buy stuff at the store. Sometimes we're all looking for the best deal, cheapest stuff. We go to the mechanic, how much you charge. We're like that in other parts of our life. That's how they are with us. So we're going to have to, tailor our behavior and our diagnosis to that. Because you can't save the world in every service call. It's just not possible. People don't have the money. They don't have the patience. Sometimes they just don't want to hear it. They just want to get some cold air and move on. And maybe every now and then you'll be able to save the world. But for the most part, you're just going to do the best you can. Get that thing to spit out cold/hot air, whatever the appropriate temperature is for the season. And you're going to move on to the next one. You can now download all the music you love off Working Joe's Roundtable's training videos. Go to WorkingJoe'sRoundtable.com, go to podcast, and click on Talent 875 Music to download all your favorite music.